guys, can you please do me a favor? My mom, Prophetess Brenda Price, is having a women's event. It's going to be on June 19th. It is absolutely free. It has free lunch, free childcare. It is free. And the only thing she asks is that you register. So if you are going to be in the High Point, North Carolina area around June 19th, I would encourage you to come to her women's event. I will be at the event. I will not be speaking, but I will be there, and it's going to be awesome. And like I said, it is 100% free. It includes free lunch and also free childcare. So if you are a woman of God and you want to hear what God has to say to you for this time and this season, I would encourage you to come to the women's event. It is called The Tried Woman. And I will leave a link in the description on how you can register. Thank you so much for coming. And I just really appreciate it. And I know that Prophetess Brenda Price will as well. Hi guys. So today I wanted to talk about a subject, a thought that kind of came to me a couple of weeks ago. And it was the fact that a lot of women who are in marriages that are toxic, that are unauthorized, and if you don't know what that term means, please click the link in the description, the Freedom Through Divorce School, and it talks all about that. But a lot of women that are in the unauthorized marriage is very toxic, and it is, there's a lot of turmoil and just fighting and things like that. Or sometimes it's just, you're living like roommates and you don't have any kind of intimacy. There's no relationship. There's no love. It's just very toxic, and it's just not reflective of the type of marriage that God, created it to be. And so, a lot of you have been considering divorce, but you have, every time you've made steps towards that, it's been painful. You think about how painful it would be for your children. You think about how painful it would be for you. You think about how painful it will be for your family. And you always think about how painful it's going to be. And so you decide, the best option is to stay. I may be in pain, but at least it's just me. At least everybody else doesn't have to be in pain, as a result of me leaving. And so you just stay because you don't want to cause any further pain. And so that's actually one of the myths of the enemy, is that we think to ourselves that staying is less painful, but it's actually more painful. Because what happens is, when you're in an unauthorized marriage, it's just like any type of sin. When you start out on that path, things aren't quite as bad, as where it's going. But the wages of sin is death. And so it's like the further you go down that path, the more toxic it gets, the worse it gets, and the more consequences, you have to endure. And the eventual path is death. And so it's the same thing with an unauthorized marriage. It may be to the point where it's only affecting you right now, which usually that's not the case. It's just kind of just a lie that the enemy has gotten you to believe. Because I will say, from my own personal experience and from most of my clients, if you've got children, they're already affected. They're already affected. They see the fighting, they see the tension, they can feel it. Especially if you're dealing with a spouse that's, narcissistic or abusive in any way, shape, or form. They see that, and it's just as much of a hell for them as it is for you. Okay. So the idea that you don't want to hurt your kids, if you're in an unauthorized marriage, that ship has sailed. Okay. So, we stay because we feel like, okay, we don't want to hurt people, but the longer you stay, the more it will bleed over to, if it hasn't affected your children yet, it will, because it's an unauthorized marriage. It's demonic. Okay. And that's the whole purpose. Its whole purpose is to literally suck the life out of you, your kids, your ex, your spouse, everyone. That's its job. So the further you are in it, the more effective it will be at doing that. And so this idea that, it causes less pain to stay is just not true. Okay. The longer you stay, the more difficult it will be for you to leave. The more your lives are entwined, the more your finances are entwined, and the harder it will be to, rip that apart, and so if you are, have been considering it and you're staying just because you don't want to hurt anyone, that's not a reason to stay in a marriage. That's not a reason to stay in a marriage. The reason to stay in a marriage is that's where God has called you to be. That's where he has placed you in. And you know that he's in that marriage with you. If you cannot say that, if you wonder about that, then I would encourage you to get the unauthorized divorce course, because there's so many of us who are in these unauthorized marriages, and God did not put these marriages together. And so, but the enemy is using all these strongholds and all these lies to keep us there, because he wants to steal, kill, and destroy. And so rather than continuing to let him do that, get some truth. Let's get some truth and see what God really has to say on the issue. Because, the first thing you have to do is to determine which kind of marriage do you have. Do you have a God ordained marriage, or do you have an unauthorized one? And if you have an unauthorized one, you need to get out. And so I encourage you not to believe that lie that, I'm going to cause less pain if I stay. If you are in a marriage that is literally daily causing you pain, where you are, having to completely change what you do, how you behave, how you interact with the world because of the dysfunctionality that's in your marriage, it is not getting better. It's going to get worse. And the longer you stay, the less strength you're going to have to leave. So I encourage you that if that's your mindset, if that's the stronghold the enemy's been using against you, that you will get the authorized divorce course, and let God speak some truth to your heart. All right, for today, that's it. I'll talk with you next time. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Freedom Through Divorce with Amanda Nicole. If you liked what you heard today, be sure to visit the Freedom Through Divorce online school at www.freedomthroughdivorce.com. There, you will find online personal development courses for the woman of God who is stuck in a toxic or unauthorized marriage and wants to move towards God's plan and purpose for her life. Everything on courses from what the Bible really says about divorce, to how to find your purpose once you've been divorced, to being sure that your children are not part of the single parent statistics, and the list goes on. It's my desire and my calling to help you move from divorce to destiny. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next video.